Captain Rebecca Hayes stood frozen on the command deck of her vessel, staring at the massive battleship that had materialized from hyperspace. The sleek craft bore the distinctive markings of the Valerian Empire, but something was different about this one. Golden inlays traced elegant patterns across its hull, and energy readings suggested technology far beyond anything she had encountered before. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," announced Lieutenant Emily Martinez from the communications station. "Put it through," Rebecca replied, her voice steady despite the memories flooding back. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a figure that made Rebecca's breath catch in her throat. Before her stood a woman of ethereal beauty, her skin bearing the characteristic pale blue hue of the Valerian species. Crystalline formations adorned her forehead in an intricate crown-like pattern, and her eyes held an otherworldly luminescence that spoke of immense power. Yet beneath the regal bearing and the ornate robes of state, Rebecca recognized features that had haunted her dreams for 15 years. "Hello, Rebecca," the figure said, her voice carrying a musical quality that resonated through the bridge. "It has been a long time." Rebecca felt her legs weaken as recognition fully dawned. "Luna?" The Valerian queen smiled, an expression both warm and infinitely sad. "You remember the name you gave me. I have kept it, even as I reclaimed my birthright." 15 years earlier, Rebecca had been a young rescue operative working the Outer Rim territories. She had discovered a small child, no more than 7 years old, locked in a cramped cage aboard a slaver vessel. The little girl had been malnourished, terrified, and spoke only broken fragments of any recognizable language. Rebecca had named her Luna because of how the child's eyes seemed to glow like moonlight in the darkness of that horrible ship. "I searched for you," Rebecca whispered, stepping closer to the screen. "After the refugee center, you just disappeared. They said you had been relocated, but the records were sealed." Luna's expression softened. "I was taken home, Rebecca. My people found me through genetic tracking protocols they had established throughout the galaxy. I was Valerian royalty, stolen as an infant during a raid on our outer colonies." The weight of this revelation settled over Rebecca like a heavy blanket. The frightened child she had rescued, the little girl who had clung to her hand and refused to sleep without a light in the room, had been alien nobility all along. "You were so kind to me," Luna continued, her voice carrying across the void between their ships. "You gave me your own food when I was too afraid to eat the rations. You sang me human lullabies when the nightmares came. You taught me that not all beings in the universe were cruel." Rebecca remembered those weeks vividly. Luna had been unlike any child she had ever encountered, displaying an intelligence that seemed far beyond her apparent age. She had learned English with startling speed and had shown an innate understanding of technology that amazed the shelter workers. Yet she had also been achingly vulnerable, starting at sudden noises and refusing to be separated from Rebecca during her off-duty hours. "The Council wanted to erase those memories," Luna said, reading something in Rebecca's expression. "They believed my time in captivity had contaminated me with inferior cultural influences. But I fought to keep them. I fought to remember you." "Why are you here?" Rebecca asked, though part of her already suspected the answer. Luna's posture straightened, and for a moment the frightened child was completely replaced by the commanding presence of a galactic ruler. "War is coming, Rebecca. The hegemony forces that once enslaved me have grown bold. They raid our territories with increasing frequency, taking not just Valerian children, but younglings from dozens of species. They believe organic beings are commodities to be bought and sold." Rebecca felt a familiar fire kindle in her chest. The same protective instinct that had driven her to rescue operations 15 years ago surged to life. "What do you need?" "The Galactic Council moves too slowly. They debate and deliberate while children suffer in cages like the one you found me in. But you humans, you have something my people have forgotten. You act when action is needed. You fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." Luna paused, and her royal composure cracked slightly, revealing the vulnerable child who still lived within her. "I need the woman who saved me to help me save others." I need Rebecca Hayes to stand beside Queen Lunara of Valeria. Rebecca looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. Lieutenant Martinez nodded firmly. Commander Janet Ross, her first officer, stepped forward. Captain, we've all heard the reports coming from the Rim territories. Slaver activity is at an all-time high. The hegemony thinks they can terrorize the galaxy because the established powers are too civilized to wage the kind of war necessary to stop them, Rebecca said, understanding dawning. But humans aren't bound by the same political constraints. Luna smiled, and for a moment she looked exactly like the little girl who had trusted Rebecca with her deepest fears. Will you help me build a fleet? Will you teach my people how humans fight for those they love? Rebecca straightened her shoulders and felt the weight of command settle around her like armor. She thought of all the children who might be huddled in dark cages at this very moment, waiting for someone to care enough to save them. She thought of the little girl who had gripped her hand so tightly and whispered that she wanted to grow up to be strong like Rebecca. Queen Lunara, Rebecca said formally, then let warmth creep into her voice. Luna, it would be my honor to serve alongside you. The screen flickered as Luna raised her hand in a gesture that was part royal salute and part childhood wave. Then, let us remind the galaxy what happens when predators threaten the innocent. Let us show them what humans call righteous fury. As the transmission ended, Rebecca turned to her crew. In the depths of space, two fleets began to converge, united by the bond between a human captain and the alien queen, whose life she had saved with nothing more than kindness and courage. The little girl who had once been afraid of the dark was now ready to bring light to the darkest corners of the galaxy.